my recent work, and I want to ring off my excerpts for Diwali with a very auspicious deity like Ganesha. I can get you the Lakshmi excerpt maybe in a day or so, but I thought Ganesha is a suitable deity to start with for Diwali readings. The excerpt is, the chapter is called Conversations with Ganesha from Bollywood on the Bend. And basically Tamanna, the writer, is making a trip to Siddhivinayak because she has heard so much about it from a foreigner living in Bombay, an American called David Pearlwala. And she's also somebody who loves to read. So in some of her reading, she finds out that in times when nothing moves in a straight logical line, Lord Ganesha's mythical role as a clearer of obstacles has rendered him an icon described by Paul B. Courtwright as the special deity of a displaced elite. Ganesha has served as a symbol of a revitalized traditionalism in the face of rapid and uncertain change. Tamanna knows that this season every European figurine brand, from Yadro to Latiste, has made limited edition Ganeshas for the Indian market. She also knows that they have sold out in a matter of hours. Lord Ganesha connotes a happy survivor, an entity who sacrificed his life for his mother and got it back after a massive celestial war where goddesses like Kali and Durga came into being to protect him. Of course, they were projections of his doting mother Parvati. Partial to him, Mumbai takes out phantasmagoric processions to woo his blessings year on year. The pandemic year, of course, we hardly even felt the Ganesha celebrations, and I really, very strangely, once things get encoded in your unconscious mind, you actually start missing a little bit of that madness and that gaiety. Some of my most beautiful art, I remember the vibrations of the Ganpati trance music that used to play in the neighborhood, played in the background when I was making this beautiful Lord Shiva that you can't really see clearly. So I'll tilt the camera. But you can see that he's so lost in meditation, and I remember clearly that there was trance music playing in the background when I was completing this meditation portrait. Anyway, to come back to our chapter, so Tamanna remembered a comment by urban planner Rahul Mehrotra on the phenomenon of the wild Ganesha festivals of Mumbai. The spectacles in our city are no longer the architecture of the static city, but events like the Ganesh immersion, which symbolize the kinetic city. Now, normally one goes to Europe because the static cities are very well developed. In the static city, you have moving exhibitions, you have beautifully accessible, museums, you have sidewalks that are walker friendly, you have climate that's walk friendly, and that I realize is why London resurrects my spirit. But in Bombay, what keeps us on a trot are really these collective emotions that are expressed as festivals that raise the collective vibration and the meeting of people, the beauty of intellect, the beauty of conversation. This is what makes Mumbai a happening city for me. It's certainly not about roaming around on the streets and discovering exhibitions and museums and what have you. We have one Palladium and one Phoenix Mall area and a few malls in the city which are walker friendly as complexes. But it is the religiosity and the spirit of the people of Mumbai that makes the city, as Mehrotra has observed, it's a kinetic city. It's a kinetic phenomenon. And Tamanna is now on her way into the temple, and of course she has a lot of angst about issues related to marriage and motherhood and blah blah blah. So in the temple she shuts her eyes, and slowly as seconds merge into minutes, she feels she is sliding into a deep and delicious void. And this is metatonia, or rather metonia, returning to the soul, fusing the light of the two eyes into the spiritual third eye. A feminine way of being, going within is such a luxury, as most times Life demands too much of the masculine, activity and alertness. The pandemic has been a time of feminine resurrection. It has been a time of going within. So many people have gone into nature and left the concrete jungle and are not depressed, not being very busy. In fact, reconnecting with family, reconnecting with the soul, with the spirit. It's been a vacation for humanity if humanity wants to see it that way. So she starts having a conversation with Lord Ganesha, and she asks, is it possible to be both single and married? And he has a young male voice, playful, musical, and she can see him now, sheathed in an intense white light, popping a modak into his divine mouth as he speaks. Why would one struggle with being single and married? Oh, sorry, she asks, why would one struggle with being single and married, and how does one do that? And he says, Putri, if you experience love with anyone, you are not essentially single. You may be cooking, cleaning for him, or running after the children you have had together. You may not be, rather. But you are more than a single unit. You are synchronizing with another mind, another personality without trying to change it. It is a beautiful thing. It is called true friendship. True friendship? Yes, it is unconditional, interdependent. You are together not out of need but out of choice. It is a higher relationship than the Shastriya wedding, which in the old-fashioned pattern has pampered your gender but also controlled it. A man felt powerful in that equation because the woman had to depend on him materially and socially. It is that pattern which led to evils like dowry, bride burning, and even sati. Without a man, a woman was punished, whether she was single or widowed. These old patterns had stability, no doubt, but they were not terribly evolved. Now, of course, a new equation has come, which is closer to the relationship that my great father, the Lord Shiva, shares with my mother, Parvati. This new equation is inevitable in your expensive and uncertain era, the Kali Yuga. But how does one know that even the true friendship will prevail? That it won't come crashing down like a sand castle once a fresh wave of energy splashes over it? She asks. Lord Ganesha laughs. Hee hee! Learn to think as a person first and a woman second, and meditate on this. She feels trapped. Your dignity as an Indian woman will be to live like my mother did. Do you remember the legend of my creation? What aspect? The part of me that is celibate is perceived as a direct result of my being born only from my mother. In the Vamana Purana, they call me Vinayaka. Vina means without, and Nayaka means male protagonist. No man contributed to my birth. My mother craved more love in her life, while my father was preoccupied with his spiritual journey. She created me single-handedly with the rubbings of her body. It is why I defended her with my entire being and my very life. Are you saying women should create babies regardless of a male presence? Only if they have the capacity to raise and nurture them. And how did you come to be seen as married to two women? She asks. The Shiva Purana says I married the two daughters of Prajapati, Vishvarupa, Siddhi, power, and Buddhi, intellect, who bore me two sons, Kshama, prosperity, and Labh, profit. Somewhere else my wives are called Riddhi, growth, and Buddhi, intellect. In one of your Bollywood films, Jai Santoshi Ma of 1970, they even said I have a daughter called Santoshi, which means satisfaction. He smiles. So that is a message from Lord Ganesha. He says our world is fluid. Today's Kali Yuga is highly fluid, and take me to be the bestower of wisdom and auspiciousness, and stay fluid, because it's a bit like working in a martial arts philosophy or living with a martial arts philosophy. Be flexible. If you're brittle, And if you can't move on, and if you can't absorb new tenets of being, and if you will not survive the disruptions of your day. So that is our excerpt, our Diwali, our kickoff Diwali excerpt, where it should end in, remember, in divine law, love is a gift. Love is a giving. Don't trade it, don't label it, don't exaggerate it. It will then disappear. And I wish you all a very auspicious festive season till the next excerpt, which I will also promise to wear an Indian, possibly a sustainable Indian Banarasi sari or scarf for. Namaskar. Happy Diwali in advance.